Welcome everybody to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Dwyer Realty Remarks. We're going to go around the room and quickly say names. I am Jerry Dwyer.
Hannah Beauchamp.
Francis Fletcher. Barbara Dwyer.
And we have Gary Brown with us here as a guest today. Gary, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So we brought Gary on because we always get asked questions about renovations to a home, whether that's renovations to the home you're currently living in or renovations to the home that you're going to purchase. So we have a few questions that we'd like to ask Gary. Does that work for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So question one, these are like frequently asked questions. But first of all, tell us a little bit about you. Who and what is Kembro Design Studio?
So Kembro, we're a boutique renovation company. We mainly specialize in interior renovations, so kitchens, bathrooms, full interiors, basements. That seems to be our specialty. We also manufacture our own cabinetry, so we do all custom cabinetry. Nice. So basically anything that you see in a magazine, we can make it.
So kitchens, bathrooms, garages, all that stuff?
Built-ins, you name it. Yeah.
That's great.
Anything you can see, you can make.
That's
I
right.
like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So how long have you been in business?
We've been as Kembro since 2020. So we started actually a month before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
So obviously when that started, we got a little scared because the world kind of grinding halt.
Yeah.
However, that kind of worked in our favor because everybody was at home and started seeing, okay, well, we have everybody at home, your children, both parents working at home. So it's like, we need more space. Or we need to make better use of our space. So that's where the basement started coming in. Let's get people spread out throughout the house. So we're finishing basements. Our customers were looking at their kitchens and their family rooms saying, like, we need to make a change. So it was a very good time for us. We were busy completely through the pandemic. We didn't stop.
That's awesome. Which makes sense because real estate seemed to be a hot commodity in the pandemic, whether you were selling or buying or doing renovations. So
that's right.
It kind of makes sense.
It allowed a lot of people to focus on their homes too and what changes they wanted to make. We were all stuck inside.
Yeah, so that kitchen that you couldn't stand it even more. It's because you were working in that kitchen now, and it made you want to make a change. So yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So what renovations do you find you get the best return on the money that you spent?
So those would be your kitchens, your bathrooms, and basements. You'll always get your money back or a very good chunk of that money back. Kitchens, you're probably about 80% return on investment for that. And then your bathrooms and your basements are about 75%.
Okay.
Return on investment.
What do you find, just so I'm kind of off there, what do you get more calls on people asking about kitchens or bathrooms or basements, or is it one versus the other, being people are now finishing basements or doing a renovation to an old basement?
We tend to get a majority of our calls for kitchens and for bathrooms. Those are
kitchens and bathrooms.
Ones. Yes. Everyone's always looking to update because you got everything's changing. Styles are changing and people want to keep up with that, we find. So we get lots of calls on our kitchens for sure. We kind of have built our reputation on that. We actually built kitchens for other contractors as well. And we just build cabinets for our clients. Sometimes, you're using the existing space, so we build new cabinetry to fill that space. But other times we'll get calls and it's like we want to take out a wall, create a grand room so you have your kitchen and your family room kind of combined. So we take out walls, we bring in engineering, we do it all. So we find... if you're looking to do a kitchen, say, some people have their kitchen cabinet guys, but they don't know who to use for the other stuff. That's where we come in because we're able to take that project from design and right to finish. So we do everything for that project.
So it's a one-stop shop. So
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
It makes it a little easier for the client. So the client's not trying to arrange the project and, they're trying to work and keep this project going at home because as soon as you stall it, it's like a domino effect. So your trades get tied up. So that's where I come in. I lead the project, I take it over, and I do all the coordinating to make sure.
So you're like a project manager.
That's exactly it.
Which makes a lot of sense when people have to work, they have lives, so it's really hard to try and orchestrate all that on your own.
Correct.
And I think as a homeowner too, you get these ideas of what you want. You have your vision, but you need someone to help implement it.
That's exactly it. Because we all have ideas, but sometimes ideas will work for a space or they won't work for a space, right? So that's where we can come in. We have designers that we work with as well, so we're able to set our clients up with our designer. We all meet and kind of go over the space and figure out, okay, what style are you looking for? Is there a certain style that you like? Pinterest is a very popular thing for everybody. So we get a lot of info boards on that. So which is very helpful because you get a lot of people who are doing their homework ahead of time. So then when you're meeting with them, you can go over the pictures and you have the ideas as you walk in. But we definitely have our designers to come in and help us kind of make that into reality.
I actually had a question too about when you're thinking about design and resale.
Yeah.
When we're thinking about paint colors and everything, to mention somebody is mowing their grass, okay?
It's that kind of day, I guess.
Mowing their lawn. So, sorry, what was I saying? Colors. Colors. So, yeah, man, this is difficult. We try to go for neutral colors because you want to attract, everyone. Not everyone will love the bold jewel tones. However, I've noticed they're becoming a lot more popular in specifically kitchens with the green, the blues. And we've seen them, and I think for the right person, they can look absolutely beautiful. But I guess my question is, have you seen any difference in return based on, have you advised more on neutral colors, or do you see more return with putting a bit of pop here and there?
We typically see it on the neutral colors. Because it's more attractive to everybody. So if you're listing your home, you want to have these neutral colors that everyone can kind of picture themselves walking into this house. Whereas if you have red walls or crazy green colors or anything that's kind of out there, a client might see that and just they can't picture themselves living in that spot. Which is for guys like you and I, you look past that. You're looking at the actual bones of the building, but a lot of people will come right into it and say, "Oh, I can't see myself living with these green cabinets." Right?
Yeah. And I think as your realtors, we would always suggest too, when it comes to making anything your own, that you think about your timeline. If you're going to be staying there for a little longer and it's meant to make it for yourself, you want to make it exactly how you love it.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. So if I'm doing a renovation, knowing that okay, we're doing this reno because we want to sell the home, that's where we're using the neutral colors. We want to keep very simple, something that's going to attract everybody. But if you're looking to stay at the home, 5, say 10 years, then you make it the way you want it because you're going to be living in that home for 5 to 10 years. So you enjoy the time with it.
Yeah, I mean, we seem to get that a lot. And that's a good point, Han. I mean, people will say, they'll ask us when they're going to sell, what color should I paint this? We'll say, unfortunately, you're trying to make it as neutral as you can and accent with stuff because people can see themselves in their own furniture. If it's a red wall, sometimes people get caught up on that.
And neutral doesn't always mean just black and white.
Yeah, that's right.
Either,
that's absolutely
right. You can still have some warmth and tone to your home while just not using those bold colors that might not be everybody's taste.
That's right.
But I know I like my jewel tones, so.
Grays right now, whites, and even we'll call it grayish. That seems to be a pretty popular one right now. So a lot of those like neutral, warm type colors.
And sometimes that can help a little bit too, rather than just black and white, which everyone's different, but to me can be more cold. Yeah. And really being more careful with the tones you're choosing can also make your home very welcoming.
I think so. Yeah. So that's great. So what is a typical cost to renovate? I know it's kind of a tough question, like it's based on square footage, but what can a consumer expect to pay for a generic kitchen renovation? Cupboards, countertop, and maybe not changing... flooring. Maybe not changing walls, but just doing a complete redo for what they currently have.
You can, really, I would say it probably starts around the $50,000 mark, roughly. Depending on, again, finishes are what makes the project. Sure. Exactly. So anywhere from 50, I'd say, to 100 for a kitchen. Bathrooms, we're finding with tile showers, tile floors, vanities, we're probably starting around the 20 mark. And
for bathrooms.
Then working yourself up from there.
Okay, so we're not talking about necessarily changing walls. That was just a complete, rip it right down to redo it to something modern and clean and new.
That's correct, yeah. And we do our showers with a Curdy system, which is a system that we only use on our showers because it'll last you. It's a system where it's got a board that won't allow moisture to penetrate.
And what's it called?
Kerdi.
How do you spell it?
Kerdi.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll see it. It's really, really good. You put the tiles on it. It won't allow water through. So what will happen is some people use like a water membrane on a green board, which is drywall.
Right.
Over time, water does get permeates through the grout, so it'll get into the backboard, and what
So
will
will
happen
eventually absorb into that green board.
exactly, which can cause tiles to crack, mold, that type of thing. So where Kerdi is mold resistant, you won't get it.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're paying a little bit more, but that shower will last you forever.
So spend a little bit more up front, and then you've got a solid renovation that you won't have to redo or fix later.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask about basements? Because the last
Yeah,
podcast we were talking about
bathrooms.
the cost of, okay, so let's say you put in a bathroom and a base, it's right from unfinished to finished.
Yeah.
Bathroom and a bedroom with the regress, or the window regress. And so what's that? Like basically, what are we talking about? Because I've had that.
That I would say you're probably like the square footage price is probably the easier way to do
Okay,
it.
yeah,
Starting at
square
about
footage.
$60 a square foot if you're going
Okay.
from nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
And then if you so you really wanted to kick the basement up and, extra cabinets and that kind of stuff, then you're probably anywhere to $80 a square foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So very, very
good to
reasonable,
know.
especially for somebody. We got talking about this the other day.
That's why I was
saying like,
wondering.
adding that square footage to a basement is definitely cost effective.
Yep, for sure. And I think people have a hard time wrapping their mind around the square footage price because they think, gosh, that's a lot of money. But if you think about it, that's a big space that you're doing down in your basement. You're almost doubling the size of your home, right? Because you're taking that footprint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially a bungalow.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's a big add. I mean, basements are always a big one. We're finding that a lot of builders from new are not doing basements, so somebody can add value to their home by finishing the basement later on, especially if they're expanding their family.
That's what
That's
I-
For
correct.
new,
That's
especially,
what I
I've noticed that, right?
Yeah.
If you want to add it on.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
See, and that's what the new build, what I was telling you about last podcast, it was about 90,000 put in that nice basement
Yep.
for a bunk. And yeah, so
That's typical.
$80
Yeah.
a square foot.
I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah.
So guys, let's just have a quick break. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to finish this conversation. I think it was been pretty good so far.
Well, before we go into that break, we're going to jump back into trivia.
All the trivia. Chris is here with the trivia.
Here,
Okay.
your
So-
I'll
I'm
pass
just
it
glad
on.
you said you weren't recording. We're not recording.
So how it works normally, Gary, is we have everybody with a sticky note, and we ask the first question before the first break, and you guys write your answer.
Okay.
And then we go into break. At the end of the podcast, we ask the second question, and then we'll jump into the answers for everybody.
Take a book to write on if you need it.
Don't look.
We do. Oh, here's
No
a pen you can
cheating.
write on. No cheating. And then because we normally keep score, I was thinking we could mix it up with Gary, and Gary could be a wild card where he can donate
I get it.
his
I get
points
his.
I love
to
that.
whichever member
No,
of
I
the
get
team
his.
he would like to.
I do.
What?
No pressure.
No pressure, Gary, but it better be me.
I may have inadvertently started a little war here. But all right, so your first question is Jonathan Scott, who made a 2020 PBS solar energy documentary called Power Trip, is best known as the co-host with his twin Drew of what HGTV
Oh, boy.
real estate show?
I know.
I know this.
All right, the team is going to think about it, and we're going to jump
I don't
into a
need
break,
to
and we'll
think
be
about it.
right back.
I can't stand the host.
That guy's a huge. All right, welcome back, everybody. So we're going to continue on here. Thanks again, Gary, for joining us.
Thanks
We
again.
have a few more questions if you have the time.
You bet.
Great.
Okay, Gary, what is the best style to go with when renovating your home? Modern, contemporary, traditional. What's your advice?
I think it kind of touches back on what we were talking about earlier. Is if you're looking to list, I think you want to try to go with something a little more traditional. That way you're attracting more people to that style. You don't want to go with something too far out there because you're going to kind of segment yourself from a lot of people.
That
right?
makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. So you want to try it again. You want to try to get something that'll attract more people to buy your home if you're going, if you're listing. But if
Outside and inside as well?
outside I guess it really depends on the style of your home that you have existing. It's always nice. Curb appeal is a big thing
Right.
when it comes to a listing home. Big thing for me, and I've always thought this out, even since I was a little kid, I always thought the best thing you can do is have a very nice front door on your home. That front door is a welcoming thing. It's the first thing you see when you come to a house. When you're walking up to the house, you want to have something that just kind of is a little bit vibrant, that brings you in and draws you into that home.
Right.
Can I actually speak to that? There's a home, one of our listeners might be the homeowner, in Byron when I grew up. And every time I went to school, I would notice it because it was a white, cute bungalow with a big red front door.
Yeah.
I dreamt of that being my first house as a kid.
It's just something about it. It draws you into the home, right?
Yeah.
It's having that nice front entry is just something.
Yeah,
that
it was
definitely
very
makes your
cute.
first
Yeah.
impression positive.
That's right.
Saying that curb appeal is a big deal, but when people walk up, if it's dark,
Yeah.
then if people seem to have their mind made up before they even walk in.
Yeah.
I convinced my parents to do yellow front door with the blue house at the cottage. It
Yeah,
was
right. Like that's
beautiful.
it's something just to make it pop.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, and I find, with landscaping, that's a big thing too. So something simple, you just want to have something simple that people look at and say, okay, that is easy to take care of. You see some homes where, maybe this person's really into gardening, but if they have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, if it's busy, it takes a focal off of what they should be doing.
That's right, because you're thinking, okay, I don't have time to look after all that. So it's nice to kind of clean everything up and just have something simple that people can take care of.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
First impression.
Yes.
Exterior renovations. So we kind of touched on that a little bit, but exterior renovations. If somebody wanted to hire Kembro to do the outside of their home, would you also do you also have contacts for landscapers and stuff that you don't do yourself?
We do. What we typically do is recommend a few and then have the client touch base with them. And then they can make their choice. Because it would be somebody that we believe in, somebody that we can work with. We give those numbers to the client so the client can touch base and then they can make their decision off of who they feel most comfortable with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Doing outside renovation. So it's again, it puts it in perspective of they can contact you and try and get you to orchestrate it all to make it easier on the client.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
What I like to say is I like to take the headache away from the customer.
Mm-hmm. That's what
I just have to say something while we're on this topic. Normally, I find I'm never surprised. If I'm outside of a home and it's well maintained, it's going to be well maintained inside.
That's right.
Well, one time I was showing the property and the house was spectacular on the outside. Spectacular. It was one of the nicer homes I'd ever seen outside. Gardens, lawn, windows were clean. I opened the door and it was almost like a hoarder's house. I was never so shocked in my life. And not only that, but there was a dog standing there barking and drooling. And we didn't even go in. My client, they're kind of trying to push me in.
Yeah.
Have you ever found that, Gary, that somebody calls you to do a renovation and you're surprised?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Actually, that has happened to me one time as well. I was called in by a landscaping company because they take care of the garden. So the outside was beautiful, but the inside was not. She wouldn't actually let us into the home because it was that bad.
Wow.
Yeah. So they wanted to build a new kind of sunroom off the back because she had one before, but had some water damage to it. So, and had let it go. So we came in, but I think she she didn't feel comfortable with people being at the house, so the project never ended up going ahead. But that was the same thing. You drove by the house and it was beautiful, but on the inside inside it was.
It's really funny. Usually that's not the case. I find that
I've never, I've
Yeah,
only
it's
ever
a rarity.
seen it.
It is, yeah.
if
I've
the
only
home's in
ever seen
disarray,
it that
it's going to be
once.
inside and out. It's
Yeah.
not just one or the other.
And I'll tell you, I've seen the
Seems
other
like
side often
gardeners.
because it might be a single person living in a home and they can maintain the inside and it's clean and it's lovely. Outside, not so much, particularly if there's huge property. So sometimes that looks a little run down. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
But this one,
Yeah, a nice.
and it's only ever happened once.
that's
It
right. It's happened to
was-
me once as well.
Some
yeah.
people only care what the neighbors think.
I
That's
guess.
true. Well put.
I-
It's
Yeah, that's
people's
right.
priorities. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's putting up a front, but that's usually you're right. Usually that's not the case.
That's right.
First impressions are everything, but usually it's the outside matches the inside
Yes.
for the most part.
Yeah.
So I have another question, Gary.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody called you and said, I'm not going to do what most people do. I'm not going to fix up my house to sell it right away. I want to live in it for maybe 10 years. So what would be your suggestion on how a person can live in a beautiful home for 10 years and yet when they go to sell it, it's not going to look dated? Is there such a thing?
There is. What again? It comes back to keeping things simple. Simple, clean lines, that type of thing will allow you to live in that home, and knowing that you're going to list it, say 5 to 10 years from now, still try to keep things, I would say, a little more traditional, because those things kind of stand the test of times. Like white cabinetry
Yeah.
is one. One thing I recommend to people is white cabinetry is good to have. And if you have an island and you want to add a little punch of color to that kitchen, do your island.
Okay.
The reason being is, 5 years from now, you picked a green island, we'll say. 5 years from now, it's like, ugh, why do we do the green island, right? It's easier to paint out the island than it is to go and repaint all of the cabinetry again. Because
That's a good point.
you find that happening, like this is the new color, everyone's doing their cabinets. But I even say to the clients, I'm like, picture 5 to 10 years from now. Like,
Yeah.
are you still going to be as jazzed about, the blue, navy blue cabinets in 5 years from now as you are now?
Yes.
So it's one of those things to take into consideration. I think white wall cabinets are nice, a nice punch of color on that island, and you're good. And you can always change out countertops if you end up going something with a little more crazy.
Yeah.
But you can always change those out down the road too.
Okay.
That's a very good suggestion.
Yeah.
Like we see that very frequently now in new builds. We're seeing two-tone cabinetry, upper whites, lower grays, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Or we're seeing white, reds, blues, two-tone cabinetry with like a wave in it or a design on the cover.
Exactly.
And it looks great now, but it will really show 2024 in 10 years.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
I
a very
agree.
good.
When
Yeah.
I was looking to do flooring, I don't remember what flooring store I was at, and I was looking at dark wood. This was probably 12 years ago,
Yeah.
15 years ago. And I was looking at the dark wood because everybody was doing it. And I was pondering which dark wood, and a woman walked behind me and she said, "Don't do it." And you know what?
I know why.
I wish I knew who she was, because we had 2 pugs at the time, 2 fawn pugs that if you're a pug owner, and she saved me. I can't tell you how she saved me.
Well, the headache of dusting and
Dusting. The other thing you find if you have kids or pets, dark wood shows everything. A high sheen floor as well. If you have pets, especially dogs, they get excited and they like to run around.
Yeah.
Well, it'll show the scratch marks on the floors.
On darker?
Yeah. So it's nice to have like a light color like this with like a low sheen on it, almost like a matte finish, so that it doesn't show as much.
So
Who wants to be
that-
cleaning their hardware
Yeah,
every day?
exactly. And so most of my house is pug color still,
Yeah.
even though pugs are long gone. That it's saved me.
Yeah.
So I hope if she's listening, she realizes how she saved me.
money and time.
I remember I did a project one time, but it was red cherry floor with a high sheen on it. And she had a dog, and I asked her a couple times, "Are you sure this is the floor you want to go with?" Because I said it will show. It'll show scratches and it'll show dust and dirt quite easily. So you'll be cleaning your floors often. But that's what she wanted. So we did that for the client, and within a week, like, you had to come back for another, just to finish up one piece, and you could already see the dog claw marks on the floor.
And could she see them?
Yeah.
Did she say anything?
She said she wished she would have went with that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's so people don't know what they want.
That's right.
Getting suggestions is a big deal too. They know they want to reno, but they don't know where to start.
Or they know what they want, but they don't know some of the repercussions of what they're picking.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So, yeah.
And I think you're right. I mean, you see it every day. So you're right. Having gone through that, it's, sometimes it's a lifelong. Sometimes people listen and some people learn.
Yeah, we try to educate them as much as we can, but so, you have something in your head, and it's hard to talk people out of it.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. But flooring's a big one. We see it. We're seeing grays as a big ad now. Like, people are doing gray, whether it's a laminate or a hardwood. We're seeing that grayish hue.
Yeah,
and which looks great, but it can show dust. And
that's right.
Dirt and just stuff into the corners of the room.
Yeah, and it doesn't take long.
No, dust develops overnight. I feel like.
So Gary, for anybody considering home renovations,
yeah,
how would they go about finding a contractor?
So we've been fortunate enough to have most of our business through word of mouth. We do some social media. We have a website as well. Best way I'm finding with social media is a lot of the Facebook neighborhood chat groups. We get a ton of our business out of that, because someone will say, "Oh, I used Kembro Design Studio for our kitchen. Oh, we've used them for so and so." Because you'll get almost on a weekly basis. There's a couple times like, "Hey, we're looking to finish our basement. Does anyone have a contractor that they've used?"
Yeah.
So we find that's happening a lot. Like, we've been fortunate with Byron. Seems to be a big area for us. We do a lot of work here, but we do it all throughout London. But Byron has been a great source for us. Yeah,
I love hearing that. Word of mouth is always great, because nobody's going to be a bigger advocate than somebody you've already worked with.
Absolutely,
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's great news.
Yeah, it's been really good for us.
It's great.
Gary, what is the most expensive and extensive renovation that your company has ever done?
Oh, we've done a few, and that's typically it'll be a main floor with the kitchen, opening walls, maybe 2 bathrooms, that type of thing. We've done a few of those, and you're looking in, probably the $200K mark. Yeah, some of them.
So a complete redo for the main level.
Yeah, that's right.
Opening walls. It's going to be
all new flooring. Yeah.
And what is the smallest that somebody has called you in for?
We've done a few smaller trim jobs, that type of thing, or a little bit of drywall patching, that kind of stuff. We typically do that for friends and family, that type of thing, because unfortunately it's just neighbors. That's right. Just because we usually have big projects on the go, so it's hard to be able to take somebody off that project to go work on a smaller project. Not saying that we don't do smaller projects, but it depends on the timing of that. So if we're in the middle of a big project, it's hard to take them off that and have them do a smaller job.
Right.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
So with everything you're hearing about supply chain and everything and price of everything,
Yes.
you came over in my place and you're going to give me a quote
Yeah.
for this great thing, but we're not quite ready to do it. We want you, and about 4 months later. So how do you rectify that? All those prices have gone up on?
It can happen. It definitely can happen. What we do is we usually keep a 2-week.
Oh yeah, you got to make
time
a
frame on ours.
decision.
Yeah, because you might have picked say a countertop that was on sale that week that you happened to be there. It was on sale. So then a month or 2 months from now, it might be a different price.
Yeah.
So, or they may not have it, so you have to go with something different. So we typically hold about a 2-week.
How fast are the prices going up?
You know what?
Contracting.
They've really mellowed.
Yeah.
After the pandemic, it was crazy. We could only hold pricing for 24 hours at that point.
Wow.
Because you would go buy a 2x4, it'd be $4. The next day you would go back, it was $6.50.
Yes, I know.
And then it would change. It would go to $8, and then it would drop back down again. It was all over the map.
That's
It was very difficult. We could hold our labor prices because labor is labor, but yeah, it was very hard to hold that. But we have found since the pandemic, pricing overall has jumped about 20%.
Yeah, 20%.
So you are seeing it. You're not seeing prices rise as quickly.
No.
You're seeing them calm down a little bit.
That's right. It's all kind of settled now. So basically, what you see is what you get now.
That's good.
I remember there was a jump, I think even in this last year, someone mentioned that the cost of everything was going up come January.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because with pricing stuff, I'm like, man, it seems like it. I can't believe how much it is right now. So having friends in the industry, obviously talking to them, and these are different trades. They're like, yeah, we've been finding about 20%. I said, that's exactly what mine's coming up to, 20% more.
and it's important for people to understand that too, because it's not just what you're charging, it's what you have to charge.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
Supplies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Gary, what is new? Tell us what's happening with Kembro Studios.
So we are expanding right now, which is great. We've been fortunate enough to be busy the last few years. So we do have a shop where we build our cabinetry. So we're expanding that. We're taking over the unit that's beside us.
Wow.
So to be able to handle the workload coming in and keep things on target. We also have a showroom coming as well. So we've just signed on for that. It's on Moorcliff Road. So we'll be working on having a showroom. So now the clients can come in, see and feel and touch and
That's important.
Yeah.
That
see the
was-
It'll be an actual design studio.
Yeah, that's right.
I
Yeah.
love that.
And that's it. And they can meet with the designer. Like the designer can come in. We'll be able to have their drawings up on a TV. They're able to sit there and check out different hardware, some of the popular countertops, that type of thing. So we'll have like a full kitchen in there. We'll have built-ins for like TVs and vanities. Still seem to be our
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
I think that'll be great at.
yes.
I've seen some department stores like do their design centers what you're going to be able to do. I think is going to be incredible.
Yes, we're really looking forward to it. I think we've had a few clients ask, do you have a showroom? Where we normally bring samples so they can see the doors and that type of thing. But now they'll be able to come to us and we can work with them there.
That's
It's exciting.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, great news.
Yeah.
So anybody else have any other questions for Gary?
I'm just as soon as I have money, you come renovate my place.
I'll be there.
I got lots of ideas. It's perfect.
And always, Gary's information will be added into the listing notes of the podcast where you can reach him, and we will add the location once it's available as well.
Amazing.
That's great. So thanks for coming, Gary. We appreciate your time today.
I appreciate it. It was great. Yeah.
Very good.
That's great.
Thanks for having me.
So thanks for listening, everybody. Signing off. Any other?
We're not signing
Before we
off.
sign off. Oh, we're trying to sign off quickly before he brought up about
I
the
still can't figure it out. The trivia.
trivia questions.
We're not
All right,
signing
I'm not
off
doing
yet.
very
We're
well.
Jumping back into
Not
trivia.
yet. Not
Or-
ready yet.
Just so everybody is aware, the score right now
Okay,
is
well, let's just move on. From
Hannah with 2, Jerry with
One.
1, Francis with 2, Barb with 2.
Thank you very much.
We lost last time.
All right, moving along.
Our second question today is originally a term for a herder's humble hut. What French word describes wooden sloped alpine houses frequently seen near ski slopes?
Oh, come on.
Okay, could
Can you repeat
one
that?
more?
Sorry. Originally a term for a
Pretty
herder's
simple.
humble hut, what French word describes wooden sloped alpine houses frequently seen near ski slopes?
Too simple.
Well, I had to think about it, Francis.
It's simple until you get it wrong.
All right, so I'll
So right-
ramp up the difficulty
Yeah,
next
next
week.
Yes.
Ramp up the difficulty.
Thanks.
I always loved this word for some reason.
Okay, so let's go around with the answers for the first question. Jonathan Scott, who made a 2020 PBS solar energy documentary called Power Trip, is best known as the co-host with his twin Drew of what HGTV real estate show?
Oh, it's just a
Property
show.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out his name, and it said the name.
What did you write?
I said Property Brothers.
Property Brothers.
Probably brothers.
Property brothers.
Property Brothers. I thought it was just what was.
Let me see.
I don't believe
No, I did.
I don't
Property
believe
Brothers.
ya.
Okay, I thought the
She did write
question
it.
was.
Okay.
I didn't hear the question. I missed that you said the brother's name. And I was trying to think of who the brother's name
the other
was
brother's name.
of Drew, but it was in the question. So that was
Way to pay
disappointing.
attention,
Wow. Okay.
Everybody got that one.
All right.
Jonathan and Drew, property brothers. Moving on.
Originally a term for a herder's humble hut, what French word describes wooden sloped alpine houses frequently seen near ski slopes?
I said chalet style.
Chalet.
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 Okay, I'm gonna have to ramp up
Yeah,
the
you gotta get
right?
So I'm still one behind. It's like a golf game.
I wrote down. Yeah, that was just.
So
I'm
everybody's
like, I know the show.
everybody's at 4 except for Jerry, who's at 3.
Why do we keep bringing that
And
up?
Gary has 2 points that he can disperse.
Don't give them
to
to Jerry.
members of the
Petty
team.
points. Petty points.
Let's put our name. I'll put our name in.
I don't think we should put Gary on the
No,
spot.
let him go. Let him go home.
You pick, Chris.
Nope.
No, we'll
No, I
just,
think
we'll just
we'll
We'll call it for fun. We'll call it for fun.
yes.
I'm not having fun. I don't know. What do you mean by that?
Or Gary thinks of a number between 1 and 10.
Yeah.
Like,
11. You got that wrong. Nailed it.
All right, Jerry's still
if
losing. That's
you
all that
turn
matters.
to him,
Yeah. Sign it off.
Okay, so now before they throw any more trivia questions at me, let's sign off on this. So thanks everybody for listening. We will be back next week with episode 3. Any questions? Of course, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Dwyer Team website. Thanks for listening to Realty Remarks. Signing off, Jerry Dwyer
Hannah Beauchamp.
Francis Fletcher.
Barbara Dwyer.
and Gary Brown. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Whoop, whoop. And we have music.
I see.
I know,
We're in the break.
I don't
I'll watch it.
know.
My
One's the
kids are
builder
talking.
and one's the contractor. I see the perfect.
You know it.
I know it. That's why I'm mad. I watch the show all the time.
Didn't you have their app too at one point?
Yeah, it's a game. Okay, can we take answer? Oh no, it's for later.
We're in break now.
You gotta cut that out. Okay.
I'm gonna cut it out.
You want to take over the other questions?